It just can't be another day without English VAs being in some sort of drama in Genshin Impact. I'm not sure. In case you haven't been under a rock, you may know that the SAG-AFTRA strike is still going on, leaving, I don't know, like the vast majority of the characters in Genshin Impact without a voice actor. And yeah, listen, it's a little lazy here today on the outfit, all right? We're not feeling the greatest, but you know what? Continuing on. If you don't know what the SAG-AFTRA strike is about, it really is TLDR. Certain voice actors in the SAG-AFTRA group, which includes Formosa Interactive, which a lot of English voice actors are a part of, they're on strike still, which started in like June 2024 over AI usage of their own voices, which regardless of how you feel about AI being integrated in modern society going forward, it is a little weird that, you know, you could have your own voice copied and replaced when your entire job is a voice actor. It's a little weird that you're just like, yeah, the company can have my voice, collect all my data, and then mimic me forever afterwards and fire me. So that's what that strike's going on about. That still hasn't been resolved. In the background of this situation, well, you're going to have to replace those people eventually. Because remember, the strike isn't with MiHoYo itself. It just happens to be that the group of voice actors that MiHoYo hired for the most part were a part of this Formosa Interactive group, which is, you know, being affected by the SAG-AFTRA strike. And this is where we get to the new drama here. Now, everyone knows Paimon's voice actress is still, you know, voice acting Paimon, and that is because Paimon's voice actress isn't a part of this unionized Formosa Interactive SAG-AFTRA group. So she should be okay and should probably dodge out of trauma and drama. Kinich was just recasted not too long ago, and this is where we're getting into some of this juicy little bits of drama. Now, the original voice actor for Kinich, John Patneaude, was replaced by Jacob Takanashi in the version 5.5 update, which was revealed on March 26th of 2025. Patneaude had been working and withholding his voice-over services for over 6 months due to the SAG-AFTRA interactive strike, which began in July of 2024. The strike was primarily about securing AI protections for voice actors, and Patneaude stated that HoYoverse allegedly wouldn't offer such protections through a SAG interim agreement, and as a result, HoYoverse recast the role, with Takanashi taking over. Context of the strike: the SAG-AFTRA strike targeted several companies, including Formosa Interactive, which handles much of Genshin Impact's voice-over work. Unionized VAs, including Patneaude, withheld their labor in solidarity, even though Genshin Impact is a live service game that technically falls under an exception in SAG-AFTRA strike rules, allowing work on games in production before August 25th of 2024. However, some voice actresses and actors chose to strike anyway to push for better protections against AI uses of their voices. Paimon's voice actress, Paimon's VA, Corina, voices Paimon, the mascot of Genshin Impact, and has been a prominent figure in the game's English dub since its launch. They are non-union, meaning that they are not part of the SAG-AFTRA strike and thus not officially bound by the strike. They continue to voice Paimon during the strike, which has been a point of contention among some fans as well as other VAs. And when Jacob Takanashi got the role of Kinich, they were pretty, you know, hype over it. They wanted to let the world know, so they made a post on Twitter, X, whatever it is you want to call it nowadays, saying, I'm having a fun time. I finally got this job for a game that I'm interested in working in, and this is a pretty cool thing, which got a couple of responses from other VAs who are still striking. Paimon's VA, as well as some other VAs, publicly expressed disagreement with Takanashi being recast as Kinich. The criticism was shared on Takanashi's own post where he announced his new role, which many fans and observers found to be unprofessional as well as harsh. Paimon's VA specifically called out Takanashi for taking a role that belonged to someone else who was on strike, framing it as an unethical move. Paimon's VA accused Takanashi of scabbing, which is a term used to describe someone who takes a job during a strike, therefore undermining the striking workers' efforts. In the Paimon's VA view, Takanashi's decision to accept the role of Kinich was a betrayal of all striking VAs, including Kinich's old VA, who had been advocating for better working conditions as well as AI protections. The Paimon VA emphasized the major difference between their own situation, which is continuing to voice Paimon, a role that was originally given to them, in Takanashi's, taking over a role from a currently striking voice actor. Paimon's voice actor decided to defend their decision by continuing to voice Paimon during the strike by pointing out that they are non-union and that Paimon was their original role, not one they took from someone else. They argued that they weren't scabbing because they weren't replacing any current striking VA, unlike Takanashi. Paimon's voice actor also mentioned personal circumstances, saying that they have a disability and that the job keeps food on the table. suggesting that their decision to keep working was a matter of survival. Paimon VA's comments escalated when they faced pushback from fans and others who pointed out the perceived hypocrisy in their stance. They reportedly had a meltdown on social media where they called themselves a coward who shouldn't be looked up to, acknowledging that they might technically be a scab as well. They expressed frustration and guilt, admitting that they deserve to be called out, but also leaned on their personal struggles, disability, and financial needs to justify their actions. This response has been seen by some as playing the victim card and failing to take full accountability. And listen, this whole thing is kind of stupid in my opinion. I don't understand why you would be targeting another voice actor, regardless of if they're part of the strike, weren't part of the strike, or working for a different company. This has been going on since July of 2025, and if I can find the graph to pull up for you to show you just how many characters in Genshin Impact currently are being, well, for the lack of a better word, silenced without having a voice actor currently able to voice them, it's like a pretty substantial portion of the cast. It's in the majority, I know that for sure. It's above about what it seems like 50% of the characters currently don't have a voice to, well, voice act them in the game. But this whole stance where someone gets a new job has nothing really to do with the circumstances of a strike going on, has nothing to do with that company, SAG-AFTRA, has nothing to do with the other media company that is part of that strike and is just sort of an outsourced sort of person. Are you going to get mad at them? Are they going to be able to solve the issues for you? No. Are you going to get mad at MoHoYo, who may or may not be able to push any sort of influence on these two companies? Of course not. Why would you, the Paimon voice actor, start tarnishing the reputation of the person that feeds you? It's much easier to go after some small individual, rally the company and maybe even some of your fans behind you and just push some aggression that way. It seems very hypocritical to say that as well. Listen, everyone needs to put food on the table. It's not like if you're picking up a voice actor role, you're going to be paid trillions and trillions of dollars and then you can just buy a town and buy a city. Everyone needs a job. I understand that. Maybe you have some sort of disability and just, I don't know what it is, but heaven forbid if your disability is I'm just gonna say it. Heaven forbid that disability is you have anxiety issues or something that's just like that, okay? And you're just gonna go after somebody else who also wants to get paid and have money, right? Crazy, right? Maybe you should be directing anyone who's upset with this strike, VA or not VA, whether you're a fan or whether you're someone in a company role who's a part of this strike. Maybe you should be going after the people and companies who can actually, you know, close this strike out, make a change in some sort of way, not targeting specific individuals and starting drama on the internet, making yourself look like a giant ally or something. These people are my friends and they're striking, but I'm going to keep working. It's fine. I need food on the table. The people who don't have jobs need food on the table. We understand that. That's why you're hanging out with them and you've got them as you're their ally, right? But guess what? If that can't get consolidated, if that can't get fixed, who else is suffering? People who could fill that role, who are looking for jobs in the voice actor industry, who get offered that role, and then you all just gang up on them. They're not a part of your union. They're not a part of your company. They're not a part of anything that's going on. You're just going to fight somebody else because you don't want to work and they do want to work. That doesn't make any sense. The fans suffer because their characters don't have voices anymore. So you're going to argue with your fans? That doesn't make any sense. Maybe we should be arguing with people in the different companies, right? But we don't want to do that if we're still getting paid because, well, who's going to go to their boss and complain to their boss about someone else not getting paid enough? You wouldn't want to start drama with someone who could fire and replace you, would you? No, that takes too much effort and that's a little bit too scary. Instead, what we'll do is we're going to start a bunch of drama nonsense that doesn't ever have the ability to fulfill a positive outcome in any situation for any person involved in this community. No, for the player, not for you, not for your friends who are on strike, not for the people who are getting paid to replace them, maybe even temporarily. That'd be cool. Didn't get any information on that while that strike gets resolved. No, we're just going to dog on everyone. We're going to dog on the company. Well, actually, the only person we're not going to dog on is the companies themselves. I didn't hear anything about any of these VAs that are mad and upset and posting drama about other VAs getting hired. I didn't hear anything about, well, MoHoYo needs to figure this out. Well, SAG-AFTRA strike needs to end in some way, shape, or form, right? Didn't hear anything about that. Didn't hear anything about, Well, you know what? Maybe our union's not working hard enough for us. Maybe you should get mad at your union. Maybe you should get mad at Formosa Interactive. Nope, we're not going to do any of that. We're just going to talk shit and talk down to and start garbage with other people who literally have nothing to do with what's going on. It's been since July 2024. It is currently almost April. We are a couple months away from this going on for an entire year, and the only thing I've ever heard drama-wise or news-wise about this SAG-AFTRA strike is a bunch of freaking drama from the different NA voice actors for this game against each other, which makes no sense. Why are you cannibalizing your friends or cannibalizing future potential friends as well? I've seen a couple of posts talking about, well, all of my colleagues, right? Not every voice actor in the entire world is your colleague. Takanashi's not he's your colleague now because you started voice acting, but what are you going to start talking bad about your colleague? I can't believe my colleagues would replace my other colleagues. Not everyone that's in the same line of work of you is your colleague. A colleague is someone who's working at the same company as you and probably within the same department and maybe even has a somewhat similar role to you, and you guys are colleagues in that way. If you guys are all working in the same office space, you're definitely colleagues. Just because you all have the same kind of job doesn't make you a colleague, all right? You can't talk bad about them and be like, oh, I can't believe my colleagues would get hired who aren't in the union. My non-unionized, different company colleagues. How far do you want this to go? You start talking trash about all the different JP and Chinese voice actors too who aren't part of this strike, who are also getting new jobs? Nope, we're not going to do that. We're just going to become drama llama farmers. And you know what? I guess I'm a little bit of a drama llama farmer too, because I had to report this because a lot of people were asking me in the DMs on Discord, Twitter, X, whatever it is you want to call it, on YouTube as well. What is going on with the VAs? How come everyone's so silent nowadays? Now we got a little bit of a recap out there. Have fun out there. Let me know what you thought about this. I don't know what we're doing on this channel anymore. F it, I guess.